Good morning, everybody. Today is September 22nd, a Tuesday, I think. Hope everyone's day is off to a great start. Today's quick chat is going to be about warm-ups, and what we could say is the right warm-up for you. And is the right warm-up for you the right warm-up for every other human being in the world, in your class, etc., etc. So, if you haven't, I'm always saying it's a great idea to dig into the old CrossFit journals. So there's a CrossFit Journal article from way back, April of 2003, written by Greg Glassman, and it is called A Better Warm Up. So if you haven't read that, you should go back and give it a read. It's worthwhile. And it kind of talks about how most of us back in the old days, back in my pre-CrossFit days, this was very fitting. I didn't do a very functional warm up, but then again, I wasn't really doing functional training. I was doing largely just isolation movements, machine based movements, bodybuilding movements. And so I did the warm up that he describes in that article where I'd jog on the treadmill for 10 minutes or do the elliptical for 10 or 15 minutes and figure, well, my heart rate's elevated, so I must be warmed up, ready to go work out. Now, the overwhelming majority of the CrossFit population doesn't warm up like that anymore, and our level of sophistication with warm ups has increased substantially, but it's still a worthwhile read. And his little encapsulation there, which I like and I wrote down, says, for the purpose of what a warm up should be, increase your body temperature and heart rate, provide some stretching, stimulate the entire body and major biomechanical functions, provide practice for basic movements, and finally, prepare for rigorous athletic training. I think this is a very nice encapsulation of what warming up should be. What I think potentially some folks miss the mark of it in is there's one piece in there, provide practice for basic movements. So a lot of times people are curious as to when the heck should I work on a particular skill? When do I have the time? Do I do it before the workout? Do I do it, after the workout as some sort of accessory? Do I do it on a rest day? Do I do it on my own time? Whatever it happens to be. You can put whatever movement or skill you want to practice into your warm-up. And done appropriately, it will provide not only a warm-up, but a skill-based practice. You can kind of kill two birds with the same stone. And we do this regularly at Linchpin. I'm a big fan of it. Definitely once a week, if not twice a week, is probably more fair. As part of our warm up, we do the Bergner warm up from, world famous Olympic lifting coach Mike Bergner for the snatch. And yes, it's called the Bergner warm up, but it's also undoubtedly skills practice. I mean, you're hitting all of the major positions, you're getting the movement patterns fresh in your head of exactly what you need to do to excel with the world's most complicated lift, the barbell snatch. So you're not only practicing something at the same time and honing and polishing your skills, but with something like the Bergner warm-up, it's not only skills-based, but you're pulling from the ground, you're going overhead, you're explosively opening your hips, you're opening up your shoulders, you're going below parallel. You are getting a total body warm-up at the same time that, as long as your brain is engaged, you're practicing a skill-based movement. And there's ways to do that. That's a barbell example, but there's ways to do that with pull-ups, muscle-ups, handstand holds against walls, and handstand practice, lowering muscle-ups with some feet assist on the ground. If you do a low-ring muscle-up seated on the ground with no legs, well, that's not a warm-up. I mean, that's a L-sit strict ring muscle-up, which most of us would be ill-advised to do absolutely stone cold. However, if you have those low rings down near the ring dip heights that you can do a foot assist low ring muscle up, and it's part of a multi-round warm-up that you have going on where you're doing a bit of rowing or a little bit of shuttle runs or a little bit of echo bike pedaling or whatever it happens to be, and some shoulder pass-throughs and some squat therapy and etc., etc. And then you move over to the rings and you allow yourself to use a tremendous amount of leg so that it's not overly taxing, and you do a nice low ring muscle up with a leg assist and pull your hands to your chest and just you work on the actual technique of the muscle up while moving your shoulders through a fantastic range of motion. You're practicing, you're warming up. So there are ways to do both at the same time, and that way, again, I'm a huge proponent of whatever time that you have in the gym, you want to use it as efficiently and effectively as possible, because don't get me wrong, I love CrossFit, bleed CrossFit, but there are wonderful things that happen outside the walls of the gym. So I don't want to be in the gym all day. I want to be in the gym for whatever is a succinct and effective period of time to accomplish what I'm trying to do. And then I'm going to go out and, be with the family, live life, get to work, do some other things. So, again, warm up, skill base can all happen at the same time. So, another part that I want to say about this is it depends on the athlete also, your willingness to kind of experiment. There are some athletes I know that they don't want to experiment, they don't want to play around, they don't want to deviate from the game plan. They want somebody to tell them precisely what to do, write it down in step-by-step deals, and then that is what I will do. If it's not written on the paper, I'm not going to do it. If it is written on the paper, I am going to do it, and then I leave the gym. And if you're one of those people, that's fine, that's great. As a matter of fact, my wife, who's profoundly far more fitter than I am, that's her deal. If it's written down on the paper, you do it, that gets done, and I leave. Whereas I like to deviate, play, experiment a little bit, figure some stuff out, see what happens. So I think there's great benefit in the play and experimentation part. And I want everyone to know that they are authorized to do that. Okay, you should feel authorized. Obviously, you want to make smart decisions, safe decisions. No one's asking you to be reckless. But my point is, if a general warm-up is provided, so for example, today's a heck of a day of training at Linchpin. It's a challenging day. We've got rope climbs, ring muscle-ups, bar muscle-ups, back squats, handstand walks. There's a lot going on today. And so there's a general warm-up provided, and there's a general warm-up provided, for every single solitary workout. Today's, as a matter of fact, here's a warm-up. 2 to 4 minutes of running, biking, or rowing, followed by 3 rounds, not for time, of 7 squats, done squat therapy style, good old school CrossFit squat therapy. We've got a video showing that. 7 hip and back extensions, 7 glute bridges with an empty barbell, 3 broad jumps, 7 PVC pass-throughs with a PVC pipe, 5 to 7 pull-ups or ring rows, depending upon how you're feeling there in the warm-up, 5 to 10 push-ups, 10 to 20 second handstand hold against a wall, and then some shoulder taps. Just 3 rounds of that, just moving slow through it, getting you everything that you need to do to get prepared for the actual warm-up. That's going to do the trick, okay? But what I want to tell people is, let's say there's thousands of people following that warm-up. Well, let's just be honest. Statistically speaking, numbers speaking, that may serve a very large population of them very well. But there's going to be some that a slight modification to that warm-up might provide better results. And if you've been working out for a while, what I want to encourage everyone to do is to have those, authorize yourself to experiment, play around, and see, does a little bit something different work well for you? Now, again, my wife would never do this because she sticks to what's on the paper, and that's that. But I, for example, I'll put some, like maybe you've played around and you've got some wonky shoulders, and you find that kettlebell windmills or Turkish get-ups just treat your shoulders really well. They get a little rotation in your body. They help open up your overhead position, and life just feels better when you do them. Well, that might be particular to the shoulders that you have based upon car wreck, a mountain bike wreck, or just life in general, whatever's happened. But that doesn't necessarily apply to everyone working out. But you won't find out that a Turkish get-up or a kettlebell windmill or something else really makes you feel good and really gets you even more prepared for the workout unless you authorize yourself to do a little bit of experimentation and a little bit of playing and see, does that do the trick? And I certainly do some things on a regular basis that I don't think everyone else needs to do. I've got a separated AC joint from a motorcycle wreck. I'm sure other people do as well, but I hope most people don't. And so it takes me a really long time with some really extra care to get my shoulders loose and opened up. But it wouldn't make any sense for me to write that warm up, the hey, you've separated your AC joint warm up for every human being walking the planet because it wouldn't apply to most people. And I have been able to find what works well for me through some playing and experimenting, and then I'll add those things as needed into my warm ups. Not necessarily every day. There are plenty of times where I wake up and it's a good day, and I do just the general prescribed warm up, and it's perfectly adequate. But let's say I wake up and the shoulders are a little extra tight, a little extra grouchy, whatever it happens to be. You do the regular prescribed warm up, and then since I've got some unique dents in the fender happening, I'm sure there are other people out there as well. If I feel that I'm just the shoulders aren't quite where they need to be, well, I'll play with 2 or 3 more things until I actually feel like, okay, now I'm feeling good. Now we can get after it. But if but in order to even do that and find out what those things are, you have to be okay to take a little detour off the sheet of music that was given to you that day and just experiment a little bit. I also do the same thing with my cool down and stretching every day. The whatever you want to call it, the couch stretch, the wall stretch, when you fold up your leg and put it against the wall of the couch for your hip flexor. I do that stretch every single day of my life for 2 minutes on one side and 2 minutes on the other side. Every day. Now, that's probably not required for most people to do that stretch every single day of their life. But I broke my pelvis. I got plates and screws holding it together. Plates and screws have been in there now for longer than I realized, probably almost 20 years. So my right hip and right hip flexor just has chronic pain. Again, that's unique to me. I'm sure there are other people that also have that going on. I hope most people do not. So for me, I can tell you without a doubt, because I've played with this, I've done it, then I've removed it to see if I notice the difference. Doing that wall stretch every day unquestionably leads to me having a higher quality of life, lower pain in my hip. It takes stress off my low back, and I just flat out feel better, period. And I do that every single solitary day. But again, you may not. But if you have something going on, and most people have something going on, I want you to find out whatever is that ideally part of your warm-up that could be tweaked, or part of your cool down or stretching that could be tweaked, that will make your life better. And you will probably never find that. You might get lucky and just bump into it, but you will find it quicker with just some calculated, intelligent experimentation in your warm-ups, in your cool downs, and see what treats you very well. And this could go, we could take this down another rabbit hole, which we won't have to go, which is there's a broader scope of, I not only personally feel that everyone should feel authorized to experiment not only in the warm-up and in the cool down, but in the workout as well. And again, there's some people that it's gonna happen as written, period, end of story. They don't want to have to do much thinking. They look at the page, they do it, and that's fantastic. But there's some great fun to be had deviating from the plan a little bit. If you deviate just a little bit, you're still keeping with the general scope, purpose, and intent of the workout. And you're not changing really the overall stimulus that much. You're just playing with it a little bit. So for example, if the workout of the day is grace, 30 clean and jerks for time, 135 for men, 95 pounds for women, power clean, then to overhead. If you take that workout and then you don't do it and you go run a 5K, well, it's okay, you have dramatically changed the programming for that day. You've not only gone off the sheet of music, you're in an entirely different symphony. However, if grace is the workout of the day and you look in the corner of your gym, and there's a sandbag there or a D-ball or some cool toy, and you're like, well, the workout of the day doesn't say that I could use a sandbag or a D-ball. It calls for a barbell. If I do that, I'm not really doing the workout of the day. That's where I think you're missing the mark. If you grab a sandbag and you get it up to your shoulder and then get it up over your head, you're still mimicking the exact same range of motion. You're just not doing it with a barbell. And sandbags are fantastic. So, yes, you have deviated from the plan of the day, but only slightly. And you're playing and experimenting and allowing yourself some fun freedom that will probably keep you more engaged and more enthusiastic and not get burnt out working out, because you'll be having fun, which is something we all should be trying to do in the gym, and you're good to go. Or maybe you look in the corner of your gym and again the workout of the day is DT or again Grace, whatever it happens to be. And you're like, man, I bought this axle bar, but I don't get to use it that much. I wonder if it would be okay if I did Grace today with an axle bar. Absolutely it would be. Absolutely. You're still doing 30 clean and jerks ground overhead. You just change the diameter of the bar. You're good to go. Like, allow yourself that freedom. Allow yourself to be, you should always feel authorized to do things like that. It will make life great. You've got a set of dumbbells. Workout of the day is going to have a barbell, but you've got dumbbells. Go ahead and use those dumbbells. Life's good. You've got a heavy jump rope instead of a regular jump rope. By all means, grab the heavy jump rope, throw it in there. Yes, you're deviating, but you're doing it in a fantastic way, and you're sticking really close to the desired stimulus of the day. Like I said, if the desired stimulus of the day was 7x1 back squat and you run a 10K, yes, you're working out. Yes, that's fantastic, but you've deviated wildly from the intended stimulus of the day, from the programming. So feel authorized to play and experiment with the warm-up, the workout, and then also the cool down. And I think you'll not only learn a little bit about yourself, learn what works really well for you and your body and whatever you have going on, but you'll probably have some fun. Have some darn fun. And that will make you not get burnt out from working out. And then we'll still be talking about working out 10 years from now, because you won't have these periods of time where you're fired up and then you don't work out for a month because you think it sucks, and you work out for a month and you don't for 2 weeks and you get back in. We want to find a way that allow people to stay consistent, because consistency pays huge dividends. So that's it. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you later.